happen if there is synergy. Everyone here must understand that the shepherd needs to be protected, because once the shepherd is struck, the entire herd will scatter. So, in the process of performing our roles, responsibilities, and functions as sub-government functionaries, we must understand that protecting the agenda, the redeemed agenda, is key. Protecting the front runner is key. Protecting the ideals for which this government came on board for a second term is key. We have information that in a bit, the number one citizen of the state will join us. But while we await his arrival, let me once again, for those who just arrived, inform that if you desire to use the convenience, all you need to do is step out of this hall, take your right, and you will find people who you can ask for direction. That's all you have to do. And please, of course, this is not very necessary because of the caliber of people who are gathered in here, but just for the purpose of reminders, please, there is enough water and everything at the convenience for you to fill it up once you are through with using the convenience, so that the next person who desires to access it will make it clean, neat, and welcoming. Basically today, we will be listening to a presentation by the Director General of the Bond Commission, Mr. Shoye, who will be speaking to us on public sector reform agenda in Western Nigeria. A lot of people are worried and so very much about the quality of delivery of the public service. I'm glad I'm a part of the public service, and I am proud to be one, but I also know that the public service reform agenda is key to delivering the kind of country we all desire. I had a conversation sometime with someone who has operated in the public and private sectors, and he said something to me that was very fundamental. It touched at my heart. He said the public sector is taught to push files. The private sector is taught to open it. We must do a reversal. Because what that simply means, when I reflected on what that meant, and what I came to a conclusion about is that the private sector actually is one that pays attention to details and is desirous of running with the vision to perform and achieve goals. But the public sector just pushes the file. I'm sure that Mr. Shoye has a lot to tell us about deliverables today. We will also have the opportunity of listening to a lecture on performance management in the public sector. And that will be by the head of Department Project Management Technology of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, the best university in Nigeria. I know that some Ife people will want to contest it. Some UI people also want to contest it. But I always tell them that is past glory. Futa is the one that has the glory now. I'm sure Mr. Smith Francis agrees with me. Thank you very much. Dr. Mrs. Modubu Ajayi, Head of Department Management Technology Futa, will be speaking to us on performance management in the public sector. Dr. Mrs. Ajayi was Registrar, Federal University of Technology, Akure for 6 years. She was also, but before returning to Futa, she was Registrar, Federal University of Uyo for 6 months. 6 months in Uyo, 6 years in Akure. Dr. Mrs. Ajayi is obviously an egghead. I have had the opportunity of having an interface with her. Thank you very much. Please let the music come to lighten our moods, even as we prepare for plenty of talk, plenty of conversation. As my chairman would always say, my chairman, Mr. Kule Adebayo, he will always tell us, the important thing is for you to get the job done, just get it done. I hope I won't get punished for this one. He will always tell you, just get the job done, no matter what it takes, get it done. And let's move on. I am speaking in his voice. Get the job done and move on. So we can, yes, please, if the music is ready, let's have it. Okay, sorry, please. I think if we can shut down the sound and sorry, the music, because we're about to start actually. Let's take down the music.
And in less than seconds from now, Mr. Governor will be here, and shall we rise to usher in the #1 citizen of the Sunshine State, the Governor of Ondo State, Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Odunayo, Akeredolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Mr. Governor, you're welcome. And closely followed by his deputy. You take the anthem right away. Please let us pray.
Everlasting Father, we bless your holy name. We thank you for a day like this. Thank you for the great and mighty things you are doing in your state. Thank you for the peace that we are having. We thank you for your son, the governor, and his deputy, and everyone working with him. We commit this gathering unto you this morning. We ask that you take preeminence in the name of Jesus. Rule and reign in our affairs. In the name of Jesus. The wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding for a season like this, give unto us, most especially your son, the governor, in the mighty name of Jesus. Lead us while we follow. In Jesus' most awesome name, we have prayed.
Mr. Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome everyone to this meeting of minds, which is particularly intended to preach the one administration orientation. Today we are gathered essentially because we need to do synergy so that the administration can drive very fast. We also need to understand the roles that each individual will play, especially as the redeemed agenda is directly linked with the Sustainable Development Goals, which means we are working for Ondo State, Nigeria, and the global community. Let me quickly, because this is a business session, and we will keep the ground running immediately. I'd like to welcome the Governor of Ondo State, Arakuni Oluwaru, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Mr. Governor, you're welcome. Let me also welcome the Deputy Governor, Honorable Lucky Owumisan Ayedatiwa. Mr. Deputy Governor, thank you, welcome. Secretary to Government, Princess Catherine Oladeyedu, welcome. The Chief of Staff to the Governor of Ondo State, Chief Olubunga Ale, thank you very much, welcome. Head of Service, Mr. Nira Adeyemo, thank you very much, welcome. Members of the State Executive Council, Chairman of the Transition Committee, Mr. Daria Ragbayo, welcome. May I also welcome the Director General of the Dawn Commission, Mr. Sheryl Wole, thank you very much, welcome. The Permanent Secretary, FC, Mr. Olushadi Adeshola, thank you very much. We were speaking Hausa the other time, so I forgot your name. I thought your name is now Hausa. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Chairman of Boards of Hospitals, members of the House of Assembly, everyone, thank you very much, welcome. Members of State Executive Council, you're all welcome. It's time to keep the ground running. We're moving to the business session, and for the opening remarks, I'd like to invite the Head of Service, Mr. Nira Adeyemo. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Ondo State, Arakuni Oluwaru Akindelu SAN, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Lucky Orimisan Ayedatiwa, Arakunis and Arabins, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this induction program for all political officers and accounting officers in the public service of Ondo State on the second term agenda of the Akindelu administration. I congratulate all the participants for being part of this second term agenda. Before I proceed with my remarks, I wish to express my profound gratitude and deep appreciation to Mr. Governor for his belief in us. Let me also thank Mr. Governor for his gracious approval and full support for the reality of this induction program. This one-day induction. This one-day induction program is aimed at ensuring seamless onboarding for top government appointees of Akeredolu-led second-term administration, particularly to clearly understand their 8-point agenda term lead. The induction program is an epoch moment in the history of our dear Sunshine State. We have here today active politicians and system bureaucrats in the business of government and governance to help drive good governance through development of their expertise in people-oriented and focused policies of government. The reform agenda for civil servants under the OC program, which is a variant of commitment to excellent service, should be upheld and promoted by all accounting officers. Our mantra will henceforth be to give my best for a better society. As public servants, the citizens expect diligence, effective and improved service delivery, especially during this period of low resources. As part of our efforts to ensure effective and improved service delivery in line with Mr. Governor's regime agenda, Arakun graciously approved 2021 promotion exercise using information and communication technology to phase out the old-fashioned way of conducting promotion exercise in the public service of Ondo State. Mr. Governor, sir, the whole essence of human resource management portal where we have the database of all civil servants in the state under the OC program is aimed at driving e-governance that will lead to improved service delivery at all levels of governance. Permit me to quickly say that the commitment of government resources in the provision of infrastructure and other social facilities since assumption of office in the first term of this administration has been immense and on the increase. I am happy to note that this has not depreciated the value placed on the welfare of our workers, even in the face of the ravaging coronavirus pandemic, which has resulted in dwindling resources and present harsh economic realities in the country. However, better days await us, and the best is yet to come for all of us in this sunshine state by the grace of God. In order to sustain the current tempo, therefore, all hands must be on deck. We should remain loyal, steadfast, and work harder. We need to improve upon our punctuality at work and apply our mind fully to whatever assignment is given out to us. It is in this way that we can jointly develop our land, its people, and deliver on the full mandate of the 8-point regime agenda of the governor's second-term administration. I am very confident that your latest appointment to the public service of Ondo State will bring us many more successes and accomplishments. Once again, I congratulate you all on achieving this great feat and milestone in your career and wish you greater achievement in your future endeavors. In conclusion, I welcome all the participants to this induction training and wish you fruitful deliberation. Thank you all.
Please, we'll take this quick announcement. Protocol from now here will just be, Mr. Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. That will be the protocol henceforth. So anybody coming to do anything here, just come here, Mr. Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you go on. Mr. Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to welcome the Secretary to Government to come and deliver the keynote address. Princess Catherine Oladunwodu.
Arakun, so that we can quickly go to the recent death of today, I will want to adopt the established protocol, sir. On behalf of the government and people of Ondo State, I'm delighted to welcome you all to this epoch-making event. This induction is very apt because it is meant to forge a clear path for all political office holders, permanent secretaries, and other accounting officers in the state. At the end, we should be clear on the way forward in the merited second term of our principal, Arákùnrin Olúwarótìmí Ọdúnayọ̀ Akérédolú, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. As we all know, the duty of government at all levels is the provision of qualitative and effective service. The Arákùnrin Olúwarótìmí Akérédolú-led administration has taken the fall on this. Like a Joseph in his time and prime, the governor has demystified the business of governance by fulfilling his promises to the people through practical, unprecedented initiatives across all sectors of the Sunshine State. Having successfully brokered a deal with the people of Ondo State for a season of redemption, the governor set up a transition strategy and implementation committee to express the work that has been done in the last 4 years and also to draw up measurable projections for the next 4 years, bearing in mind the personnel that will carry out these tasks, that is, appointees and public servants. It is to this end that today's induction for top government functionaries is taking place. To fully understand the objective of today's event, I'll take us on a brief trajectory. In February 2017, when Mr. Governor took up the reins of administration in Ondo State, the morale of the citizens was at a low ebb due to huge disconnect between government and the people, coupled with over 7 months of unpaid salaries, as well as several ripple effects of underdevelopment. This prompted an immediate intervention that led to the crafting of the blueprint to progress. Blueprint to progress document, which has since birthed unprecedented developmental projects through the state. To ensure that these developments were precise and impactful, the JMPPR agenda was crafted. The agenda focused on the J, job creation through agriculture, entrepreneurship, and industrialization. M, massive infrastructural development and maintenance. The P, provision of functional education and technological growth. Another P, provision of accessible and qualitative healthcare and social services delivery. And the last one, the rural development and community service extension. Extension services. 4 years down the line, we are all witnesses to what has happened. Have we seen that the 5 points on the agenda, have we seen that they have actually been actualized? So let's give the governor a round of applause. 4 years down the line, the administration cleared 6 out of 7 months backlog of monies owed to its hard-working workforce, without leaving out its promise to change the trajectory in job creation, infrastructure, investments, internally generated revenue, and so on. You would agree that the dividends of democracy couldn't be better defined, notwithstanding the ravaging COVID-19 pandemic, which affected economies worldwide. No wonder the voices of the masses spoke loudly again at the polls on October 10, 2020, to give Arákùnrin to give our own Arakuni Oluwarotimi Akeredolu a clear second-term mandate. In his second-term inauguration speech, Mr. Governor did reel out his areas of focus for the state in the new term. Mr. Governor said these areas are an improvement on the JMPPR agenda, which I earlier enumerated. And the JMPPR agenda that delivered milestone development in all local government areas of the state in the first term of his administration. The new areas of focus were crafted out in view of contemporary needs and the prospects for securing a great future for Ondo State. The agenda has been captured under the acronym REDEEMED and is targeted at addressing 9 things: rural and agricultural development, educational advancement and human capital development, development through massive infrastructure, efficient service delivery, development and policy, effective air care and social welfare, maintenance of law and order, energy, mining, and sustainable industries, digital revolution, and entrepreneurship. It is therefore of utmost importance for persons like you and me who have been saddled with leadership roles to understand in its entirety this 8-point agenda, so as to help Mr. Governor deliver on his second-term mandate. Our roles as leaders in this administration, either politically or administratively, is geared towards the same goal. We all have the same goal. We are driving towards the same goal. So we should have the same zeal, which is delivering the dividends of democracy to the people. Hence, the era of working in silos or segregating our objectives based on job descriptions must end. Although Mr. Governor has in many fora expressed his abhorrence for the politicization of the civil service due to its peculiarity, however, the objective of effective service delivery requires synergy, and this can only be achieved when the political office holders and public servants work together. After all, government is usually addressed as an entity. Hence, it must be seen to function as a single unit, a single cohesive unit for results to be achieved. That is the idea behind the one administration mantra. It is emphasized we have just one administration, and that administration, everybody must come together under it and synergize together. As expected, the task ahead of us will be performance-driven and will be measured and evaluated periodically for effectiveness. That is why the 8-point agenda has been aligned with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, which have their specific indicators for measurements, and we give our performance as a state a global rating. Therefore, we must, as a matter of urgency, channel the commitments of our respective ministries, departments, and agencies towards the actualization of these objectives, either at 100 days, short term, the 0 to 2 years, medium term, or even beyond the long-term goals. These initiatives, projects, and programs that each MDA uploaded to the Transition Committee platform are the fulcrum for this redemption agenda. I will not fail to touch on the challenges before us, especially in these days of scarce resources and high rate of unemployment leading to crimes. All hands must be on deck to solve the problems facing our society in our own interest and that of our people generally. Though we had remarkable increase in the IGR of the state, in the first term. More than ever before, we need to triple that record by blocking loopholes and ensuring that we judiciously utilize our hand resources. I'm not only referring to funds released by MDs from the federal allocation or IGR, but also all manner of receipts, including grants, loans, and external assistance. All of this must be properly documented and accounted for. When you have transparency and accountability, everything goes fine. We must all resolve that we are going to be transparent in on our various desks, and we account for every money that is spent. Thereby, we are developing the state, and we are being good ambassadors of Mr. Governor, who has deemed it fit to give us these responsibilities. I must at this juncture appreciate our own Arakuni, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for his forthrightness and his resolve to make sure things work, and things work properly, even in the face of economic downturn and the pandemic. The sun in Ondo State has continued to shine. Am I saying the right thing? Just because he leads by example, and like he is popularly known for, talk and do governor. It is good to have a credible leader. It is good to have a man of integrity leading you. It is good to have a leader you can follow blindly. A leader who leads you and you close your eyes and you are following, because you know he will lead you right. He will not lead you into destruction. That is our governor. I join others in appreciating your magnanimity, sir, in recruiting 1,200 teachers into our primary schools and 800 health workers recently in Ondo State. You will not know what you have done to the society. But if people really tell you, sometimes when you do something good, people don't tell you. It's when there are issues, there are challenges, there are problems, that you hear them on a daily basis. But the good things you do, people don't come back and really appreciate. Sir, you are hugely appreciated by Ondo State. I also appreciate the presence of all inductees, political appointees, permanent secretaries, and other accounting officers for your diligence in your respective positions. You are the reason we are here, because we want everybody to perform his or her role in the various positions government has put you. To our guests, resource persons, and well-wishers who have come to be part of this pregnant session, I say thank you and hope you will enjoy your stay with us. Lastly, I would like to appreciate the chairman and members of the transition committee for making this induction a critical part of the onboarding process of this administration. You have just made our work easier going forward to greater achievement in the state. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Ondo State, and God bless Nigeria.
Princess Catherine Oladuniodu, Secretary to Government, thank you very much. Well, I'd like to welcome the Speaker of the House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Bamidele David Oleologu. Mr. Speaker, you're most welcome. Thank you very much. The Secretary to Government talked about the governor being a talk and do governor. But of course, it's a two-way thing. It's his responsibility to talk it. It is the responsibility of his appointees to do it. Therefore, it's important for everyone to know his or her roles and responsibilities going forward. May I therefore invite the Deputy Governor of Ondo State, Honorable Mr. Lucky Ayedatiwa, to speak to us on the roles and responsibilities of inductees. Your Excellency, Mr. Deputy Governor.
Most respectfully, Mr. Governor, Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Odunoya Akeredolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, may I adopt the protocol that have been established by the compere and the earlier speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to, first of all, say that I'm enthused to be part of this great, important ceremony, an event purposely organized to promote efficient and effective service delivery in the public service of Ondo State. I will try not to repeat some of the things that have been said by SSG, because it was as if we peeped into our notes, because some of the things that she mentioned are basically roles and responsibilities of the inductees. I must first of all thank our leader, the visionary governor of our Sunshine State, Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Odunoya Akeredolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for providing purposeful leadership for us and the people of the state in general. For me, I am very proud to identify with you, sir. And I want to believe all of us that are here, either as civil servants or political appointees, are very, very proud also to identify with this great visionary leader. And on behalf of all of us, I will appreciate the privilege we have to be part of this progressive and people-oriented administration. It is not lost on us, sir, that the purpose of this induction is for the inductees to acquaint themselves with the 8-point agenda for our administration in the state, christened Redeemed. We cannot speak outside this because that is the policy thrust. So if you hear every one of us mentioning Redeem, it's not a repetition, because that is the core. The crucial question, therefore, should be, what are the roles and responsibilities of inductees in accomplishing the redeemed agenda for the good people of Ondo State? I will like to explore the question by first iterating the 8-point agenda, which SSG mentioned earlier. But before the 8-point agenda redeemed, there was GMPPR, which she also mentioned. But the truth is, the GMPPR was pursued with great honesty and integrity. And that was why we could see the evidence of all that was done in the last 4 years by this administration. Both of them are linked. It's not as if we are doing something new in its entirety, but it's just an upgrade from what we did, and to also consolidate on the gains that were achieved in the last 4 years. If you look at the GMPPR and the redeemed, you see all of these being common but we are saying we are going to it this time around with great vigor, strategic engagement, continuous service improvement. That is basically what we are working on. The Redeem Agenda is a course of action adopted and to be pursued by this administration. It is an uncommon agenda to revolutionize the development of Ondo State. It is the role then of the inductees to first of all have clear understanding and interpretation of this policy thrust. I hold the view, and genuinely too, that this should not pose much difficulty since the agenda is encapsulated in its literal, direct, and unambiguous meaning. I would like to opine that the carefully repackaged development agenda is rooted in Section 14, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, which provides that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. This administration is convinced under this arrangement that we owe this duty to our people in whom popular sovereignty is vested. We must therefore leave no stone unturned. In driving the agenda, we must be dedicated. That is the first role and responsibility of all of us inductees. We must be dedicated and give 100% loyalty to the state government. That is the way to go. Dedication and loyalty. Dedication and loyalty. 100% to the state government. Loyalty is a sine qua non to the attainment of the Redeem policy agenda. It suggests that we should put public interest first ahead of personal interest. I repeat, we should put public interest first ahead personal interest. Being a public servant means allegiance to a noble purpose and dedication to our daily work, serving the citizens. It is also the responsibility of top government functionaries to uphold the highest professional and ethical standards. We must uphold the ethics and the ethos of public service. This is so because we understand the high expectations the public has for our work. Our actions should be impartial, objective, and beyond reproach. Furthermore, it is important for us to be integrity personified, just like our visionary leader. No wonder we call him Mr. Integrity. We must adopt this and we must follow through with him. Integrity is at the heart of corporate virtues. It is vital to building trust. Without integrity, we cannot build trust. And as we know, public trust in government is based on how they feel when taking benefit of government services, programs, and policies. So also, a crucial requirement for a successful actualization of the Redeemed Agenda is that we must develop capacity to think out of the box. We must improve on what we are doing presently. And to improve, we have to learn, unlearn, and relearn. That is the only way we can upgrade. Nothing is static in this world. Even society itself evolves. There are records are always being broken, even in international sports events. And these records can either be broken by you that set the original record or by a new entrant. Some of us are coming in as new entrants. We can break the record of old. Even those of you who have been there before, you can still break your own record by thinking out of the box. This is necessary in the face of the dwindling resources available to government all over the world, of which our dear state is not an exception. As a result of the negative impact of COVID-19, in the last 4 years, Mr. Governor has been able to demonstrate that what keeps the administration going and impactful is not buoyancy of funds, not at all, but buoyancy of ideas and purposeful leadership. We must emulate the financial re-engineering of public funds by Mr. Governor by ensuring efficient utilization of available funds, avoid waste, and be target-oriented for the good of our people in Ondo State. Mr. Governor, sir, distinguished top government functionaries, without prejudice to the inputs of other speakers in this forum, it is my humble conviction that when we adhere to the foregoing in our actions and conduct, we shall collectively deliver on the electioneering promises of this administration. Life will be more meaningful to our people in the state and our administration under the purposeful leadership of Mr. Governor Arakunle Oluwarotimi Odunayo Akeredolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. And his administration will be etched in gold as the best thing that ever happened to Ondo State. Finally, I most sincerely appreciate you and all, and I wish you, all of us, a highly rewarding cross-fertilization of ideas at this forum. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deputy Governor. Mr. Governor, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on the program, it is tea, coffee break, but we would go into program proper when it is time that the organizers will have the tea, coffee break. And in fact, it will be served on our tables so that we move on. And to my colleagues, distinguished gentlemen of the press, you still stay on when it is time to give participants opportunity to move on with this induction program will allot you. But if you don't have access to the program, we'll definitely invite you back to cover Mr. Governor's closing statement, and there is a press briefing shortly after that. Mr. Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I invite the Chairman Transition Committee, Mr. Dario Arabayi, to take overview of the transition process. Lesson learned.
Mr. Governor, Arakunle Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am particularly privileged to stand before this distinguished audience to make few remarks as reflected in our program for the day on the efforts of our amiable governor in his quest to bequeath to Ondo State an enduring legacy of good governance and results-oriented leadership. It will be recalled that in January 2021, Mr. Governor constituted the State Transition Strategy and Implementation Committee and charged it with the responsibility of ensuring a seamless transition from the first term to the second term of his tenure. At the heart of the committee's terms of reference is the mandate to oversee the offboarding of appointees of the administration ahead of the dissolution of his cabinet and other appointees, as well as the onboarding of appointees who will serve under Mr. Governor's second term in office. Our committee has since interacted with and obtained reports from a cross-section of both categories of appointees and their respective ministries, departments, and agencies with a view to mainstreaming their key projects, activities, and programs for execution under the administration's second-term agenda. All of this and much more that we have done led to the crafting of the redeemed agenda, as already spoken about by the SSG and His Excellency the Deputy Governor. The redeemed agenda which Mr. Governor presented to the people of Ondo State at his inauguration address, or in his inauguration address on 21st February 2021. As we know, the redeemed agenda, which has been carefully put together and aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, will guide the conduct of government business in the next 4 years. On behalf of our committee, I want to appreciate our distinguished resource persons and invited guests who have honored our invitation to this induction program, which has been organized to induct second-term appointees into their new roles in implementing this administration's agenda, as earlier stated. While appreciating our committee members for the great job they have been doing, let me, on their behalf, express our gratitude to Mr. Governor for this recognition, sir. Sir, your confidence in our collective and individual abilities to carry out this assignment will continue to resonate in our hearts. This we will never take for granted. Indeed, we see this as a rare privilege to serve the good people of Ondo State who clearly express their preference for you and your progressive leadership at the October 2020 gubernatorial election. We congratulate you once again, sir, on your success at the election. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to report that from the interface of this committee with a cross-section of MDAs so far, and appointees too, together with their teams, we can get there in no distant future. At the commencement of this transition program in January 2021, most of the participants here seated today will recall and agree that the process first appeared new and different from what it used to be in performing our individual roles in government. I recall that a lot of questions and inquiries came up that led to our organizing series of dissemination meetings where we arranged to tackle all these questions, because this is not what we are used to doing in running government in Ondo State. Again, it is gratifying to see how appointees and their team members across NGOs quickly responded to the new approach to achieve good governance for our state. As we continue to hold dissemination meetings, interactive sessions, stakeholder and other forms of engagements, appointees and government officials kept showing excitement and passion to see this process through and ensure its success. I think we deserve a round of applause. One of the new initiatives for this second term program is the emphasis on performance monitoring and evaluation based on relevant key performance indicators for measuring results and their impact. From what our committee has so far done, the consciousness has also been created that going forward, no office holder will occupy his or her position without targets and periodic performance evaluation. We also acknowledge the increasing enthusiasm and passion of our political office holders, permanent secretaries, and other accounting officers in articulating their MDA's short, medium, and long-term projects, programs, and activities in line with the checklist earlier disseminated to them. Indeed, the follow-up stakeholders end users interactive session was another eye-opener towards adopting appropriate strategies to effective project execution and responsive governance in the interest of our people. Let me conclude these few remarks by wishing all participants a much more rewarding and fulfilling time here today. It is our hope that you will use this opportunity to further acquaint yourselves with the principles of this transition program. Having secured your buy-in since the program took off, we cannot afford to relent in providing leadership in your MDA so that together we can take our state to that enviable life that we had prayed for. I thank you all for listening. Thank you.
Chairman, Transition Committee, Mr. Dara Abayi, thank you very much for your comments. Mr. Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are proceeding to the technical session, and we will take the first major conversation of this event on public sector reform agenda in Western Nigeria. And to speak to us is a man who is a strategic management expert with robust experience in the public and private sectors in Nigeria and Europe. His experience spans 25 years. He has held senior managerial positions at Omatech Group, Blue Hole Management Consultants and Leadership Academy, the T.Y. Danjuma Foundation as Group Head, Human Resources and Corporate Strategy. He sits presently as the Director General of the Development Agenda for Western Nigeria, an organization set up by the 6 states in southwest Nigeria to manage their regional development cooperation. Of course, I speak specifically of the Dawn Commission. Let me say a few things about his background. He attended Loyola College, Ibadan, for his secondary education. I don't have a problem with Loyola College. It is the next one I have a problem with. He proceeded to obtain his first degree in history at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. That's the one I have a problem with. A master's degree in European International Relations and Strategic Studies from the University of North London, now London Metropolitan University. A postgraduate diploma in Human Capital Management, also from the London Metropolitan University, and an LLB law degree from the University of East London. He's a man who comes with enormous experience and passion for development of mankind, and especially a system that works. Distinguished ladies, I know we are living in past glory, past glory. Our university has taken over. Thank you very much, Mr. Shere.
I won't say much on Ife. Ife stands on all fours, as we say in law. So we don't have to prove anything. Mr. Governor, sir, Arakuri Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, the Governor of Ondo State, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on existing protocols because today is not a day of ceremony, but a business-like day. I'm to speak on the civil service, public service reforms in Western Nigeria, and my presentation, broad presentation, we have narrowed it down to the state we are in this morning, which is Ondo State. So the subtitle will read, the new public governance model, deepening good governance in Ondo State. What I'll be talking about resonates across the 6 states. Indeed, should resonate across the country. I have some slides which I believe will be projected shortly. Let me start by saying this, just before I get into my presentation. 64 years ago, in 1957, the late sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was speaking to the Public Service Commission and the Civil Service in Western Nigeria at a retreat in Ibadan. And he said thus, I've abridged some of what he said. Chief Awolowo said, the role of public service is to contribute to good government. He defined it as the welfare of the entire people. Chief Awolowo went on to say that if the civil and public service is not of selected and continuing quality, democracy can become, for the people, a cycle of frustration. He went further to say that the political representatives in government issue directives of policy, and which means that our political appointees here, what they do is to issue directives of policy from the government. But when a civil service, either through incompetence or corruption or being impermanent, cannot or will not translate the policy into action to the best advantage of the people, and you can see that people, that's what Chief Awolowo was saying then, to the best advantage of the people, democracy fails, and vox populi becomes vox e praeterea nihil, a mere voice and nothing more except for an empty echo. What Chief Awolowo is saying there is very simple. Political appointees will dish out the orders, but the effectiveness of those orders and policy rests with the civil service. So what is being done today is basically trying to entrench that cooperation between let me just call them political appointees, and the engine of any government, which is the civil service. If the engine fails, the body of the car can give all instructions, nothing is going to happen. We are excited to be part of this because some of the challenges
facing governance, sorry, I'm saying this because I'm still waiting for the slides to come up. Some of the challenges facing governance, or some of the challenges Nigeria is facing today, I say that it's the challenge of governance at times. If you look at our security challenges that the country is facing, at times you wonder that things can be done differently if the approach is different. I once said, sir, Mr. Governor, I was referring to the NSAS protest last year, sir. For like the first 10 days of the protest, there was silence from the top, and the thing was spreading. And I opined then that if by the fourth day of that protest, Mr. President has come out to say, look, I've had this, I've had that, I still believe that the protests, the destruction that we witnessed, might not have been that deep. But we'll say that, okay, it's style of governance, but when you live, work, and head a multi-ethnic federal country like Nigeria, the style of governance has to be to continue to engage. You cannot just say, oh, well, things will peter out. As we can see now, things are not petering out. We now need to engage more. I'm glad that Ondo State, you've chosen this path again today. What you are trying to do, what you are going to take away from here is how the public, the civil service, and the political appointees will work together to deliver on Mr. Governor's agenda for the state. 4 years will go like that. You must be ready as a political appointee and also as a civil servant to say that I want to leave my own footprints in the sands of time. And it's always said, Yorubas will say, your name is written. And the Oba that is there and things are not quite right, your name is also there. But my prayer is that when we go away today, our resolution will be that we've been called to serve the people of Ondo State. We have not been called to be the ogas of people of Ondo State. It's a call to service. And the moment we underline that it's a call to service, trust me, things will get done. Because the people that you are governing are at the center of whatever actions you take. Well, all that for my introduction. I'm still waiting for the slides to come up. Okay, you have the slides. Okay. Thank you. I've been told that they've distributed copies. I was thinking it would have been easier. Should I just go ahead? Yes. Thank you, sir. Yeah, let's wait. A lot of them don't have it, so that's why. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Mr. Governor said we should just observe the 15-minute tea break whilst the presentation is being put on the screen. Thank you.
If you want to go wash, what are you going to use? If you want to cook soup, now what are you going to use? If your head is hot, the water could cool on. Tomo banda ba omi lo ma lo. If you're a child, they grow, water can go use. If water kill your child, the water you go use. Oh, no, no, no. Told me back, mama, oh, me not no malo. Someone to the shape, oh, my love, oh, nothing without water. Someone to the shape, oh, my love, oh, me, you love, oh, me, you love. If you fight them unless you wonder, I say water no get enemy. If you fight them unless you wonder, only you love and they talk of black man power. And they talk of black power. I say water no get enemy. If you fight them unless you won't die. I say water no get enemy. I say water no get enemy. Oh me you love oh me you love
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please let us return to our seats. There's so much mileage to cover. We apologize for the break. As we agreed earlier before the governor arrived, this is one of the issues we will resolve today and determine how going forward. One of the key portions of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is industrial development for economic growth through effective power generation and supply, will be dealt with. I'm sure that the eggheads in this house can do justice to it. So please, let's return to our seats as we continue the first lecture of the induction course. Thank you very much. As soon as the slides are up, Mr. Yellow will return to continue his lecture. But it's important, again, that we remember that the key word of this gathering is synergy. Synergy it is that can drive the kind of development that the people of Ondo State are yearning for. Synergy in thought and action, seeing or believing in the one administration orientation. The organizers have asked me to express their appreciations and apologies to you for the short break. As we take coffee and tea, please let us take in also everything that Mr. Yellow will say. Nigeria has come to a time when its best must be thrown up to take charge of affairs, and that is what Mr. Governor has done with this House. Obviously, these are men and women who he can rely on to drive the process of development. As said earlier, the governor is a talk-and-do governor, but when he talks it, he needs you to do it. So the doing part is the reason we are here. And as the Deputy Governor, His Excellency Mr. Lucky Ayedatiwa said, everyone has roles and responsibilities that must be pursued with vigor and passion. That is what Mr. Yellow was talking to us about before we had the outage. He will return to continue, but I'm sure that the issues are beginning to resonate with us. You would see the determination and passion the governor has for this gathering, because at the end of the day, it is him. Let's recall what has happened to past appointees of government. Everyone keeps talking. Agagu administration, Mimiko administration, Ajashe administration. So you understand why the governor is very passionate about this gathering. Everything must rise and fall with the leader, but we must also understand that in our various corners, we are the leaders. Each time I go to any commissioner's office, I take a look at the wall, and the former and his predecessors' pictures will be on the wall. So it's also possible for the people to remember what you did when you were in office as governor, deputy governor, commissioner, special advisor, senior special assistant, chairman of board, anything. That's exactly what Mr. Yulea was talking to us about. But I must say to you that he is even yet to hit the point, because he came loaded as an arsenal. With the few things he had said before the power outage, I must observe that looks like if people are actually truly great. The government looked at me and said, so did you say anything against that before? Mr. Governor, I know that if people are actually great, even though there's a comma, some of our universities have taken over from me. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the slides will be up shortly. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much to the technical team. Mr. Yulea will now continue. Let's put our hands together for him. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. So, thank you for the outline is, next slide, please. I hope somebody's pushing. I think it's easier this way for me. Yes, sir. No, I'm actually fine. Okay. Yeah, it's better this way, yeah. So, the first slide, we said the concept of governance. Now, governance is referred to structures and processes that, please, I'd like to crave the indulgence of the audience. Please, let's have one house. Please. I know it's a bit challenging, but let's have one house. Thank you, sir, and Mars. So, governance is referred to as structures and processes that are designed to ensure accountability, and I'm going to be laying emphasis on some of these words. Accountability, transparency, responsiveness, rule of law, stability, equity and inclusiveness, empowerment, and broad-based participation. Governance also represents the norms, values, and rules of the game through which public affairs are managed in a manner that is again transparent, participatory, inclusive, and responsive. The main business of government is creating organizational structure, work design, processes, and operational systems in response to citizens' demands and changes in society. when the voters in Ondo State went out to vote for his Mr. Governor, Akeredolu, in voting for him, they placed certain demands and expectations. And in his first 4 years, as much as possible, he tried to deliver on those expectations, which I believe was what gave him another 4 years. So when we said that governance represents the norms and values, rules and games in which public affairs are managed in a manner that is transparent, participatory, it's because I want to believe again that they believe that he managed their affairs in a transparent way. That's why they gave him another 4 years. Now, we now said that what are the public sector management models? The old public administration, which is the 20th century Weberian bureaucratic principles of hierarchy and meritocracy. Again, for the civil servants, I don't need to say much about that. In those days, it is not about performance. Please, let's have one house. Ejo, thank you. In the old Weberian bureaucratic principles of hierarchy and meritocracy, what we then had was, yes, the longer you stay, you move up the line. And saying this guardedly, in those days, it wasn't about performance. It's about how long you've stayed to go to the next stage at certain points. Nothing like fast tracking because you are a whiz kid or whether you are an expert. You must spend your number of years. And that's the civil service. That was what we inherited anyway from the colonial masters. Now we have the new public management model, which is the model that arose in reaction to the limitations of the old public administration in adjusting to the demands of a competitive market economy. Suddenly, when it now became fashionable to look down on civil service and think only those who went to the private sector were the high flyers, it dawned on the civil service that they had to make changes in order to change that notion. We'll get there. Now, the new public governance, it says it places citizens rather than governments at the center of its frame of reference, as against emphasis on bureaucratic hierarchy and administrative interests and managerial discretion and contractual mechanisms. Now, next slide, please. The new public governance in policy formulation and implementation places citizens rather than governments at the center. In my introduction, in reading what Chief Ondo said in 1957, that thing came out. It says that you place citizens rather than governments at the center. Because at the end of the day, the reason we are here is because some people are looking up to us to deliver, to make their lives better. Obviously, you can say in my own little enclave, I can do that, I can make my life better. But that means we are going back to the state of nature. We no longer live in that state of nature. We are in an organized society or organized state. And a few of us must be put in position of trust to organize our lives. It is grounded in the concepts of citizenship and public interest as against aggregation of individual interests determined by elected and appointed officials. Some of them are self-explanatory, so I won't be talking much about it. It shifts focus from the internal workings of public organizations to the network of actors on which they increasingly depend. Vital elements of the new public governance model. The public managers need to acquire skills that go beyond capacity for controlling or steering society in pursuit of policy solutions to focus more on brokering, negotiating, and resolving complex problems in partnership with citizens. In the next slides, we'll expand on that first bullet point. Now, the public managers need to be open and accessible, accountable and responsive in seeking to address wider societal needs and develop solutions that are consistent with the public interest. Obviously, the moment you understand that you have been called to serve the people, that last bullet point will be easily digested. The challenges we've had over the years in Africa is the moment we get into high positions, for want of a better word, we then see ourselves as the Lord and Master, forgetting that we were sent there to serve. And I'm going to keep emphasizing on that because for me, the essence of today is for us to understand that we are public servants, that we've been sent there to serve the millions of people in Ondo State who voted for us. The moment we understand that, trust me, policies of the government will be easily understood by the people, and they will easily say, I will have a buy-in and support. You see, if the people don't support your policies, I will give a slight example. Oil subsidy. The federal government is presently in a quandary. They know that they can't afford it. But the situation at the moment, they're struggling. They can't even announce to anyone that we will remove subsidy. Not in this particular state. It's because people don't trust the government. There's a lack of trust. They will say that, the ones that they removed in the past, how did they spend the money? How did they spend the money? But unless, and I know my fellow workers here will try to bite off my head, unless we want to continue to live a lie, I don't see, and I'm not speaking for government, please, I'm only speaking practical terms. It will be very challenging on the long run for the government to maintain subsidy. It will be very challenging. So they must find a way to go back and connect to the people and explain why they have to remove it. But let's leave that. I mean, thankfully, it's not my decision. It demands, now, vital elements of the new public governance model. We say that, again, it demands for collaborative network between public managers, citizens, and not-for-profit actors in addressing wicked problems instead of the hierarchical and fragmented systems in public policy formulation and delivery. The understanding, and please let's understand this one, the understanding that no single government agency has the capacity to define and design solutions to complex problems. Hence the need to share, understand, and integrate diverse understanding of issues. What we said in essence is departments must learn to work across board. It's not just a matter of, this is a Ministry of Lands, and we don't have to tell Ministry of Commerce. You might be surprised that the issue that is the Ministry of Lands issue, by the time you take it to Commerce, it's easily solved because you've decided to reason and work together for the common good of the people. Next slide, please. So we said governance stakeholders here, the political office holders, civil public services, citizens, the academia, the media in particular, particularly in this age of social media, that we tend easily to push around fake news. Then development partners, NGO, and private sector. It is very important, and I want to emphasize on media here, when you're talking of stakeholders in government, it is very important to trust the media. You might say, how can you trust media? You must find a way of trusting them, ensuring that the correct information is put out there. The moment you don't put out the correct information, they will build their own information and send it out as the correct one. That's the genesis of fake news that we have. Yes, some are mischievous. We must understand that some have an agenda. But it's our own duty as public servants to push out the correct information at all times. Next slide, please. So solving wicked hard problems via the new public governance approach. You can see the link here. We talked of, it's just how government works, thinks, building on existing capacity. We are thinking, we are acting. The people must be at the center of whatever we are doing here. Next slide, please. Wicked hard problems. Wicked problems are problems with many interdependent factors, making them seem impossible to solve. Governments are constantly faced with such complex developmental challenges that are dynamic in nature and thus requires innovation in the administration of public affairs. Next slide. I'll give an example of wicked problem. Let me read this slide first. It said, wicked problems require solutions generated by collaboration across organizations and specialisms rather than through technical fixes developed and delivered to public agencies in a linear manner. Let me give you an example of a wicked problem. A wicked problem at the moment is the problem of, and because we've interacted with them, is the problem of Okada in Lagos State. It's a wicked problem, and I'll tell you why it's a wicked problem. There are thousands of people engaged in that business in Lagos. Lagos understands that there are thousands of people riding Okada. But they also understand at the moment that it is causing, or it is a source of serious security challenges for them. Now, the governor of Lagos can't just wake up and say Okadas, clear off the road. He must find a way of reducing Okada. How do you reduce Okada? Reduce Okada, engage those who need to be engaged. But that then means that he needs to work across several sectors, several units, engage several stakeholders, explain why he needs to reduce the population of Okada from 1 million to like 100,000. Yesterday, when we were driving into Akure, we were listening to the radio. And I was excited about a particular news item I think it was on Adaba Radio, where it was announced by the state government here that public transport drivers must now register. They were telling them where to go, the type of ID they need to present. What the government is doing there is they are trying to solve a challenge. They are trying to solve a wicked problem. That's what he commented. It was around 5 o'clock we were driving in. When I had that, I said, this is very good. Obviously, by the time they go and register, your data is captured, you have your picture. They might even tell them that before you can drive, you must wear your ID like a staff, so that they are easily identifiable. Back to that Lagos wicked problem. Unless Lagos wants to lie, they know that they have to solve that Okada problem one way or the other. But the easiest way we have told them is they need to engage across the sector. It's not something you can just by fiat and say no more Okada. It's not going to work. Next slide, please. So we said here that reform for high performance. Yeah, next slide. What is reform? Reform is an effort to improve an organization when it has degraded from what it was originally designed to be. It entails recognizing a thing that has a fault and identifying the best means through which these faults can be rectified. Again, it's quite straightforward. Next slide. So what are the synonyms for reform? We talked of improvement, reorganization, the famous word, restructuring, restructuring, modification, transformation, alteration, amendments, overhauling, restoration, change, adjustment. Let me pick one or two words there. I'll pick on restructuring. If we take the whole country as it is at the moment, we're all clamoring for a restructured Nigeria. Because we believe that what we've done over the last 61 years has taken us thus far. I won't say it hasn't worked. It has taken us thus far. We now need to adopt different models of administering ourselves. I have argued at several discussions that part of the challenges part of our, in fact, a lot of our security challenges will be solved if we decide to become Federal Republic of Nigeria. You might think, you might say, but we are federal. Oh yes, it's what we are practicing is what I call quasi-federalism. Some can even argue, well, I won't call it unitary, but quasi-federalism. We need to ensure that every part of the country feels that they have an equitable part to play in what we call Nigeria. The reason some are advocating extreme measures is because they feel, oh, they are not part of this. But we know that that's not a solution, and I'm not even going to get into that. We have said, the moment you have, and I'm glad Governor Wike even said something closer to that about 2 days ago, that we will have to get to a state where states or regions or whatever you want to call it must have greater control of what they do, of their affairs, in order for the people to feel that they are part of that country. Okay. Are you sure he's working? Yeah, mote. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. No, it's good. That's fine. That's fine. Ondo State Reform Program. Now, we are trying to dovetail it into where we are, which is Ondo State. Sorry, just 1 second. Yeah. We say Ondo State Service Improvement Program focuses on attaining a vibrant, resourceful public service capable of delivering on government policies and programs for sustainable development of Ondo State. I'm sure we all know about the ODSIP reform. Now we said ODSIP is channeled towards addressing the identified gaps, hindering effective service delivery. What are the gaps? Value deterioration, leadership laxity, process bottlenecks, weak resource management, low revenue drive. Let me talk about process bottlenecks, because some of the things that we get a feedback regularly at Dawn Commission. Process bottlenecks. You have investors, they will show up. They want to do this, they want to do that. But what has frustrated them, it's most likely the bottlenecks they are faced on the way. I'm not saying that we should cut corners or break the law, but when we talk of, and one of the mantra we talk about now is ease of doing business. If you are indeed a public servant and you are desirous of investment in your state, the part you are playing, and it's not the governor that will do this, the governor will give the order. But if someone wants to establish, I'm just plucking examples from the air, an ethanol factory in Ondo State, obviously the process must go through the civil service. But the moment you start putting every unimaginable roadblock along the way, some of them are not necessary, and we know why we put some of those roadblocks there, which I won't say. It becomes a disincentive for that potential investor. If, as an example, the investor had gone to Mr. Governor, oh, I need 10,000 hectares to do this, and Mr. Governor said, we have. So you go through the process, and then 1 year down the road, nothing has happened. I will cite an example without mentioning names. There was a company that came from California to meet with us, and they needed 10,000 hectares in a particular state among the Southwest. They needed 10,000 hectares. We did all the work, approached the state, and suddenly this process stalled, went on and on. They needed it for Greek purposes. 3 months turned to 6, 9 months. Letters, those guys got frustrated from California. To cut a long story short, they approached Niger State. And in 6 weeks, they were ready to move to their 10,000. In fact, Niger State offered more than 10,000 hectares. And the guys who are all Yorubas, they said, well, DG, they went to Niger State. So are you then telling me that Niger State does not have processes? They do have processes as well. So one of the things that we are hoping that our states will take away, particularly Ondo State will take away from here, is how to ensure that Ondo State becomes more attractive to investors by removing unnecessary bottlenecks. There are some that must follow a process, but unnecessary bottlenecks. Very important. Because as I said, I mean, that one happened last year. The example I gave you was during the COVID year. 6 weeks it took them to get 10,000 plus in Niger State. But I said the state will remain. It's not Ondo State too, I can assure you. I didn't give the land. Sorry, next slide. So we said now there's an Ondo State Reform Office which was established to coordinate reforms in the state. But how equipped is this agency to effectively actualize its purpose? We know that a lot has gone on into this. The Public Reform Office, they've done a lot of work with Dawn Commission over the last 2.5, 3 years. Tried to bring in changes within the civil service. It can still be better, but one can say that Ondo State is one of the few states that has really imbibed this idea that for government to work, the civil service must be up and doing. And Mr. Governor, we must acknowledge the efforts you are putting into this to ensure that you have a fit-for-purpose civil service. There are still some states in Western Nigeria that, again, will remain nameless, that we still struggle with the civil service. But we tell ourselves at Dawn, and I'm not saying this because I'm standing here, that you get more results. Maybe, and let me just put it this way. We've had a good working relationship with Mr. Alagbaye, such a fantastic fellow. Towards improved service delivery in Ondo State. So we said create a new human resource policy architecture as well as new core of professional HR managers who will deploy new competencies to engineer a shift from existing bureaucratic personnel administration to more of a strategic HR management system. Mandate and process mapping for focal MDAs deeply connected to delivery of the REDEEM agenda. Institute a new performance culture that is rooted in strategic plans, performance targets, with specified outputs and activities. This will serve as the basis for funding to be sought from budgets. I'll pause here for a few seconds. That performance management, and I'm glad that it's the next lecture will be dealing with that. There has to be a way we judge performance. It's the only way we can see the results of what we're doing. It shouldn't just be the norm that we come to work, we go back. At Dawn, at Dawn Commission, my staff, every week, you must submit what you did for the week. And you will see me sitting down, going through as if I'm marking your lecture notes. It's because I want to know that I'm not just carrying passengers. There's something you've done that week that is contributing to the progress of Western Nigeria. So it is very important as we go forward in this next 4 years, that the civil service are thoroughly engaged, or they understand that if Mr. Governor is going to succeed, the bulk of the work is at my little desk, whether as a courier man, whether as a permanent secretary or as a director. It shouldn't be, well, come in now. It shouldn't be. I worked in the, I spent some years before I went to the private sector working in the civil service in UK. And I tell myself when I came back to Nigeria years ago that some of the things I witnessed when I first came back, I tell myself this is not the civil service that we inherited from the Oyibos. Along the line, we lost it. Some have argued that it was the CUL of General Murtala Mohammed that basically affected the continuity from the colonial era. So there was we didn't have the good hands to develop the upcoming ones. But that's Murtala happened in 1976, 40-something years ago. For us to attract brains into our civil service, the young ones must see that if I excel, there's a reward system. Some of the things that chases away the young ones from our civil service is, they say, well, no matter how brilliant I am, nobody will notice because I'm just one in that system. There must be a way that we can change that. Periodic sampling of citizens' opinion on service delivery, public performance. So we have the Citizenship Gate in Lagos. One of the things that states are now doing, which excites us, is budget. Before they prepare the budget, they go to the people. In those days, there was nothing like budget roadshow. The governor of a state will just come, end of the year, this is the budget. In Igbara, okay, you need water. In Nimesi, okay, you need a road. Who told you I need water in Igbara, okay? What if what I need actually is 3 toilets? You don't know that. But one of the things that states are now doing is going around asking so that there's an input. Because the budget is for them anyway. It's not for me. It's not for Mr. Governor. Good practices in policy formulation and implementation. So we said here innovative criteria, new approach, out-of-the-box thinking, linked to strategic priorities, introduced to solve specific problems, evidence-based stakeholder engagements, workable approach, and documented implementation plan. Then we have the transformational criteria, again documented with, here we're talking about good practices in public policy formulation. So documented with legal backing and disseminated, has a responsible agency or steering committee or a coordinating body. It's replicable and scalable and can be applied to similar issues or places. It is broad-based collaboration, partnership of all sectors, civil society, the PPP, donor engagement, etc. Measurable results, output, outcome, and impact. One of the things, again, I say here is when, at the end of the year, how do you measure? So if Mr. Governor says he budgeted 100 billion for education, at the end of the year, there must be a way we should measure the impact of that 100 billion. So that next year, Mr. Governor might not need to spend 100 billion next year. Probably all he needs to do is spend 60 billion to achieve more. But there must be a way we measure the impact of whatever policies we put out. Again, we talked of functionality, which is documented success stories, performance management framework in place and applied, then effective channel and communication. Some of the things here is that Dawn Commission facilitated reform initiatives, which is the establishment of reform structure across the states, open government partnership, performance management in public sector. We did mandate mapping in the agri sector. SIFTAs, a lot of our states were able to access that money through the work we did with DFID. Then the domestic revenue mobilization, which is the medium-term revenue strategy. Then we also do a lot of work with women in governance. Part of the issues that I believe we've done is over the years, we've not engaged enough of our women in our governance structures. But I'm glad here again that, I mean, for the first time, Ondo State is having a female SSG. Recently, I think is it the accountant general? And what we did at Dawn is that we put it out on our webpage for the world to see. You cannot have close to 50% of your population being neglected in governance. I know that one day, who knows, we should have a female president in Nigeria. It's doable, trust me. It's doable. In fact, maybe we need it now. Anyway, so in conclusion, I want to say here that effective government, public administration, and governance are essential elements for promotion of significant economic development and ensuring the kind of accountability and transparency that is central to sustenance of a democratic society. You see, if there, and that was what Chief Ondo said 64 years ago, if there's no accountability, the people will get tired of democracy. In fact, I've seen now, some will go around and say, I wish the military will come back. And we say, Nibo, no. It's because they are not seeing the results. So it is for us as public servants to do more. Explain our policies better. At times, it's not that they don't want to cooperate with your policies. It's because it has not been properly explained to them. You must be ready to explain what you're doing. Don't say, oh yeah, come on now, show worry. No worry. They didn't say it. Please explain to them. Explain to them why you have to remove 10 houses before you can put that road there. Don't just assume, can't they see that I'm doing their road? No. Explain to them why you're doing that. The moment you shouldn't get tired of explanation. As long as you keep explaining, the people will engage with you. They will have more questions. Answer, don't get tired. That's why we've been put there. And for our public servants, it is absolutely important, sir and ma, that we see the civil servants as partners in progress, not as some will call them, I don't want to use the word. They must see them as partners in progress. Because they are the engine room of any government. And sir, the best hands, you must find a way of rewarding your best hands in civil service. Find a way of rewarding them. Don't let them be lost in the system. Don't let them be lost in the system. And because we need, if you want to attract younger ones, I'll use the example of Britain, sir. Those that go to the civil service in Britain, they went to Cambridge, Oxford, some of their best schools, Manchester, Glasgow. These are the guys they put in their civil service because they understand that without an effective civil service, there can be no country. So I want to say this again, sir, that we should find a way of rewarding the excellent ones in the civil service. And there are loads of them there who are lost in who are presently anonymous in the system. Find a way of bringing them out, engage them. You'll be surprised what they can do. Once again, I want to thank you for this opportunity. It has been, I'm sure we are here for the whole day anyway. And sorry, just trying to see. So on behalf of the Dawn Commission, I want to thank the government of Ondo State for this opportunity, for this small chat. And as I said, I'm here the whole day as well to continue to engage. Once again, congratulations and thank you very much indeed.
If we recognize the fact that the Dawn Commission is our own World Bank, UNICEF, all these development partners in Western Nigeria, we better applaud Mr. Sheye Oyeleye, the DG Dawn Commission once again. Thank you so much. He has taken us through how to add value to the system, to deliver services excellently for the purpose of getting value for policies of government. Mr. Governor, with your permission, we're going straight to the next. Okay. Okay, please, if you have questions, we'll go straight to the questions now. And before we go to, yes, sir. So questions now, because we're in interactive session now. Okay, thank you, sir. Please, the technical session should give us one microphone.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashe. Thank you so much for a great presentation. My name is Tolu Adegbe. I run ODRS. I'm very interested in ways, based on your last comments about how to, I'm very interested in ways, based on your last slide, about how we can bring out people, young people from the civil service who are doing very good job and bring them out of the park and reward them. We recently recruited a group of young people, about 400 of them. They've worked with us now for about a year. We're running an appraisal system based on the civil service structure, but we know, we have seen some people who have done great things. And how do we reward them? They said no. The civil service structure is such that everybody must run at the same pace. So you cannot over-promote somebody, you cannot compensate somebody who has done very well, and that's the structure we must follow. My background is private sector. It's something as I don't think is right. I share what you just said, but so how do we go about rewarding those people specially? Thank you.
Okay, please, your name, sir, then you go ahead.
Okay. Akin Olotu is my name. Just this comment on my observation within the system. I have been a private sector person all through my life before the political appointment came. I am still strongly of the opinion that we still have areas to address within the system, in which case bureaucracy will not supersede performance or service delivery. We must look at a way of balancing the two. That is number one. The second point is this. I'm glad Mr. Ashe said it's not Ondo State. But at times too, you discover, I remember we gave up land to Lagos State with the Dawn arrangement. For 4 years, nothing happened. We crossed very dangerous bridge. The Oba of Idoane was on my neck for so long. We gave out the land, but the investor did not come. How do you address such situation? Thank you, sir.
Any other question, please? Please, sir, can they help?
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Akinwale Ojobo. I run the Aspire Innovation Institute here in Nigeria and the state. My question would be what I've been doing for the past 10 years. Collaboration is very key, and you mentioned that in getting an hybrid from the different agencies and the different ministries. How do you do that? How do you be able to let each commissioner, each permanent secretary understand that they need to work together, either maybe at different times, or even the nitty-gritty they need to really talk about? Then number two is the question about inclusion. And you talk about the SSG is a female, and the other piece of group, which over the time, not that it's been looked, but they are very effective in the remittances they get, back into the country is the diaspora. Effectively, over the time, there has been a new transition to see how effective is the diaspora to be engaged, either by each state or by the country. Thank you.
My name is Dele Akimoye, PS Pension. I'd like to make a comment. My comment is the fact that from the guest lecturer, he talks about wicked problems in administration. They are very critical and so many wicked problems that we find around us. The Lagos State Okada experience we are talking about. The fact is that there is no way that will not happen in Lagos State because the people will have to move. And until we find an alternative means that will continue to persist. I want to give a very clear example in Ondo State here. At Ojaiban, people used to cross the road and cause traffic problem. When you are moving along that road, you find it difficult to move. A lot of hold up and so many things. But when government was able to come up with a solution, today when you pass that road, you are happy. And what I'm trying to say is that at any time we confront wicked problems in government, we should be able to sit down and think properly how do we resolve. Thank you very much.
Just one more, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. My name is Margaret from Ondo State Entrepreneurship Agency. So you talked about process bottleneck, and that is where my question is coming in from. From my observations, sir, in the civil service, you have to do everything analog on paper. And let's say the particular person travels and you need to get some work done. You have to write a memo, and if the person that's supposed to sign it is not on seat, you have to wait till the person returns. And in that, it delays the process to get some work done. So, sir, what is your suggestion on digital reformation in the civil service to help speed up some processes? Thank you, sir.
So your answer, sir, before we take one more.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. Let me take the last question first, the lady that spoke. It will excite you to know that early this year, we started engaging a commission in Abuja called NIDA, and also NCC, the Nigerian Communication Council, or whatever they're called. Why did we do this? We realized that Southwest Nigeria needs to be in the 21st century, and I'm sure you'll be surprised if we say this, on issues what we termed digital literacy. Our civil service is still largely analog, and as you rightly said, it slowed down processes. So in our engagement with NIDA, when we went to them in Abuja, we told them that we know you have a lot of funds. We need to take our workforce into the 21st century. So we've been talking with them, and recently we approached all the states to give us a nominee for the Digital Literacy Committee that we are setting up, that the NIDA and NCC has agreed to work with. Why are we doing this? Not because we don't know how to use the computer or basic things like that, but we believe that for us to operate optimally in the 21st century as a region and as a state, our civil service or our workers must be digitally literate. And it involves a lot of money. Curiously, the money is there in Abuja, which we've not been accessing, but through this standing committee that will be inaugurated in about 10 days' time, we're inaugurating it. Through that standing committee, they will be the ones to access funding for the individual states and then spend it on our workforce here. Not being computer literate or digitally compliant slows down processes, but we believe that soon it should be a thing of the past. The first question here says ways to bring out younger elements into the civil service and reward system. Obviously, you can't say that someone who came in last year on level 8, which I think is still the entry level, if I'm right, in next year you can't go and put the person in level 13. No, it doesn't work that way. I think one of the ways that, and I'm going to use an outside country example, one of the ways the United Kingdom solved that problem, and more governments are doing it here, is that there are agencies being set up where they work hand in glove with the civil service, but some of these agencies are like revenue generating agencies for the states, and they have a free hand to an extent in setting their remunerations, emoluments. So more and more, the younger ones who are coming into public service, who are very good, it's either they join the civil service, some of them move there, or some join directly. Now, this has been a touchy point with the traditional civil service. Why should you have an? Some don't, till today, they don't agree. But for us to bring in younger people, there must be something to attract them. So when LIRS, for example, started in Lagos, I'm not so sure about the system here, they were allowed to set their own salaries. So you find that the average LIRS staff is not on the same wage scale because they see them as a revenue generating agency. So that's just an example or a way of encouraging the young ones to join the mainstream public service. As I said, you cannot just wake up one morning and someone who joined in 2021, by 2024 is a PS. It doesn't work that way. There has to be processes. But I agree that there's still more work to be done there on how we can attract more. But part of the ways of solving it, what I've just mentioned, the younger ones are finding their way, gravitating towards these agencies where they think that the process is less bureaucratic and their thinking out of the box is quickly appreciated. You know, we crack a joke. I remembered when my former boss at T.Y. Danjuma Foundation, the first day she came, she was an interim boss, Dr. Eduje Abebe. And she milited something to me. She wrote KIV. I was thinking, what's KIV? Me, I don't understand. So I had to go to her. Madam, what's KIV? This civil service acronym. Madam, I don't know this. That's no bad. She said, keep in view. And then, like maybe 2 weeks down the road, she sent something to me. BU in BU. What's BU? I was looking at the dictionary. I didn't find any dictionary of BU. So I had to go to her again. Madam, only BU. Every civil servant, madam, I'm not typical. She said BU means bring up. Madam, I'm not BU. All I'm just saying is that they have their own ways of doing things, which has worked over the years. But for the younger elements, it's no longer attractive. We don't need to lie. We don't need to lie. If we put them in the traditional civil service, a lot of them will just sit down there, play with their phones, bored, and they don't stay. They want that creativity in them. They want areas where they can express it better. So maybe, as I said, it's a contentious issue, but when you have this, maybe revenue generating agencies or agencies that allows creativity, the younger ones can find their ways there. Now, bureaucracy should not supersede service delivery. You cited the example of the land that Lagos wanted from the states. Lagos set up a rice mill in Imota, 32 tons per hour. It's the second, once on completion, it will be the second largest rice mill in Africa. So what Dawn Commission did about 4 years ago was to go around the states and said, we want our farmers to be part of this. We don't want Lagos State to buy their rice just from Kebbi or Niger. Let our farmers be part of this process. So we went down to the states, apart from one state that didn't participate then. We were able to get about 42,000 hectares. But unfortunately, the completion of the rice mill was stalled for a long time. And states got impatient and said, we are no longer interested. But the good news now is that we are expecting the mill to be completed in November or earlier. Now, Lagos, unfortunately, they've changed the model slightly. On the previous governor, he was going to use Lagos money to come and do land clearing in the individual states. But Lagos has now said, we don't have the money, we can't clear land. The only thing we can guarantee is that if they plant the rice, we will buy as off-taker. But we can't take our money to go and clear land in individual states. We should be writing our states too, because I was at their Greek agenda launch last week in Lagos, and Mr. Governor in Lagos said, we are hoping to work with our neighboring states to give us, I'm sure Mr. Lutu was there as well, that we should work with them to give them rice. Where am I going? We need our states to collaborate, particularly there. Farmers have come to Dawn, the Rice Farmers Association as an example. And in the last 1 year, we've linked maybe close to 100 or 200 rice farmers directly with Lagos, because we don't want them to lose out completely. If Lagos is saying we can't clear land, we don't want to sit down and the mill takes off and all the rice is coming from Niger, Kebbi, or whatever, and our own rice farmers here will remain poor. So luckily Lagos is going to be dealing directly with them. But on a larger scale, we will want our states to gather their own rice farmers in the states and say, you know what, there's a ready market. They have said they will buy. We are clearing land. Because the biggest challenge facing agriculture, and I say this properly, and I'm glad Mr. Governor is here, the biggest problem facing agriculture in Southwest, it's not that our governors are not interested in agriculture. The most expensive part is land clearing. We have written CBN more than 2, 3, 4 times that, look, if you are funding irrigation in the north, our own irrigation is land clearing. I mean, it costs about 300 to 400,000 naira to clear an acre. So if you are clearing thousands of hectares, you can, last year, Ekiti spent close to 3 billion naira on land clearing alone. It's not, if we have funds, because they say, why is the north the one producing food? A lot of the funding, and I'm saying this openly, a lot of the funding goes there. It's not that we are not interested in agriculture here, but, I mean, the deputy governor of CBN at a meeting, he's a Yoruba guy, at a meeting I attended, Zoom meeting in January, he said, oh, they wanted to do this, they have a policy, but the Southwest farmers wanted us to have a policy that suits them. We can't do that. And I told the man, I said, Mr. Deputy Governor, you're a Yoruba man. What applies there is different from the challenges our own farmers are facing. You cannot have a one-size-fits-all policy and you want us to develop agriculture. Obviously, he didn't agree, but I told him. Our farmers, the biggest problem they're facing here is land clearing. So why don't you have deliberate funds that you can also spend? I know they have an agency. Well, how many acres of land are those ones clearing? What I'm just trying to say is that at times, what we see is not what you get. So when we had the issue with the northern farmers or northern the other day, they said, and everybody went on social media. Oh, Southwest farmers, Southwest governors, or Southwest government, you're not doing anything. Oh, you're doing all this stuff. And I had to be explaining to, because I get 1,001 phone calls. I have to be explaining to them, look, it's not as easy as you think, sir. That there are rice or millionaire farmers in the north. Does not mean we're not doing anything here. But the challenges we face is different, and the support we need is different. So, specifically on your question, that processes has to be followed, I agree. But processes must not be debilitating. it must not be crippling. That's why I use the word necessary bottleneck in quotes. If we follow necessary bottleneck, I mean, when that consortium wanted 10,000 hectares, part of the delay was the man who was going to look into it was out of the country for like 6 weeks. When he came back, it wasn't his priority. I remember I made some trips, and it was as if I have any particular pecuniary interest in it. Obviously not. But processes, the thing was delayed. Eventually, I didn't know who introduced them to Niger State. Before we knew it, they just told me, look, at Niger State, they are farming in Niger State at the moment because we put unnecessary bottlenecks on the way. So I agree, sir, that processes must be followed, but it must be the necessary processes. Then there was another question here that says collaboration is very key. How do you get the commissioners to work together? Again, if you look at my presentation all through, if we understand that the center of whatever we're doing are the people who voted for us, let us understand that, so that I am Works Commissioner should not stop me from working with the Ministry of Social Inclusion or Youth and Development. There must be that understanding that we are all working towards the same goal. The redeemed agenda of Ondo State should be the collective efforts of everyone in their ministry and department. And if we understand that that is the essence of why Mr. Governor has appointed me, it's to come and ensure that this redeemed agenda impacts the people. If you see your position as coming to fetter your political nest, trust me, you won't deliver. Because all thinking of is, I must be able to, by the time I leave here, I must have enough to, I'm sorry, I will be crude here, I must have enough to go to the Senate. By the time I leave here, I must have enough. What will I tell my people that I gained when I was there? You see, if you deliver good service, the people will reward you. It's as simple as that. But that morbid fear at times that, it's Timbo, Timba, Shele, Mawakurumbe. Then we'll be working in I have a famous leader that says this all the time. There has to be one single vision. There can be no two visions. The visioner is Mr. Governor. He's the one that set it. The moment you have two visions, it becomes die vision, division. It's simple as that, because you have two visions. Die is two. So you have die vision, division. Just my own creation. But it has to be a visioner. And we must understand that the moment the visioner sets out his stall, I have been put in this post to work and ensure that that vision is accomplished. Thank you.
Please, the last. I think Bola Akiwemi went back to the issue of collaboration. I look at it that it's true. Bureaucracy has taught all of us to stick to what they say is your job in your ministry. But then, everything is dynamic. Things have changed. But when I look at you talking about reform, meaning reorganization, this and that, I think it does not go deep into the civil service. In the sense that, I know for us, there's a Ministry of Regional Integration. I also look at it that if there are 10 ministries that are to be involved, talking about bottlenecks now, I think there should be a system that permits us to have regular meetings where we are able to put together all that is needed and we remove that bottleneck at the end of the day. What I'm trying to say is the visionary is the government. There must still be a reporting authority somewhere that coordinates the collaborating units. I say that, for example, if there's a policy on industrialization, everything that has to do with particular industries should be collated from all the various MDAs. I don't know how that can work, even with what you have said, because everybody still sticks to his own
supposed desk. Thank you very much.
Please, we still have a long way to go. We only have the other service now, and we get the next paper.
Thank you. I still want to appreciate Mr. Governor for this induction. It's exposing us to a better reform move. Essentially in the service, sir, we have always been having one reform or the other. And in order for jobs to be fast-tracked performance, we pull out some agencies like the Ondo State Internal Revenue Service. It was pulled out so that they can perform better. And they have a different set of personnel. Their salary are enhanced with a view to ensuring performance. And we have that too. Electricity, when we want to intervene, we move them from Ministry of Works. We create a board to ensure that they perform. What we need, we will appreciate more collaboration with you on more reforms, on moving forward. Over years, we have been promoting some individuals. We get them double promotion occasionally to flyers in the system. We have been identifying that, and with a pity, the financial doldrum in the country will not allow much more training. We believe too, we are aware, sir, you have been, assisting OSIP. We have been training a number of our staff, and that I want to, what we require is more training and more collaboration. We will appreciate your more collaboration with us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before I address the question of Madam about that ingrained trend where we work in silos, just my department. One of the things I forgot to mention in my presentation is the governments and the government in particular must have a structured way of engaging your diaspora. You might say why diaspora? We have incredible knowledge in diaspora. People who actually want to contribute to the growth of this state. Some of them from the comforts of their homes where they are. Some are ready to return and engage. A few of them that we have seen and they've gone on to serve in some states. It has been a worthwhile experience for them. Because a lot of them work in environments where they just serve as maintenance officers, in quotes. There's an existing system, all they're doing is maintaining. But the creative ideas and the ideas they have gained over the last so many decades that they've been away, and some of them are still young. So when I talk about diaspora, I'm not talking of 75-year-old diasporans. There's nothing wrong with 75-year-old diasporans, don't get me wrong. But we have the young, vibrant ones who want to contribute. So there must be a structured way in government, in civil service, of utilizing those talents from diaspora. There must be a structured way. I know 1 or 2 states at the moment that is making use of their diaspora talent a lot. So I would say, and I would implore us to find a way, sir. One of the things we wanted to do was to have a database of quality diasporans, but we've not been able to do that. But I think those that come to us and we know from Ondo State, we will refer them here. But there are quite a few of them who have 1 or 2 things to contribute. Don't let's just forget, they are Nigerians. No matter where they are, trust me, they so believe in this country. They might be living in the best places abroad, but they so believe in it. Now, how can we change that culture of working in silos? As I said, and I'm going to answer that question again, that it's not rocket science. If we believe that we are working along the same lines, if we believe that the goal that we want to achieve is the same goal, we will understand that we are not scoring brownie points or getting medals for being the best commissioner or best PS. Our strength is in working together. We say Adol, we have part of our saying is Agbajowo, Lafin Soya, which means that the moment you collaborate, you work together, you achieve better results. I understand that it's a cultural thing. You are trying to protect your territory, but move out of your territory, reach out to the next man in his own territory, then you start gaining an area, not just a territory. And then you talked about recreating agencies. Sir, I agree with you again that it is one of the best ways of bringing younger elements into public governance. You have to do that. The generation we have now is not patient enough. They don't want to wait 20 years before they are allowed to shine. So there must be a way, and I'm glad you talked about the revenue agency in Ondo State as well. Encouraging the young ones to join, setting their salary scale, because again, the generation now wants money. They are not patient enough. So you must be able to reward them to deliver. So I agree with you, sir, on that. And the last question here is, how do we encourage the government to mandate training quarterly for staff or yearly to improve service delivery? This is a very good one, sir. Training, constant training. You see, we are now, and please let's listen to this one. We are now in we are now in an internet age. And I'm not going to absolve the government. Yes, government must allocate some funds for training. But in the face of so many contending issues, and I'm not here to speak for Mr. Governor, at times he needs to prioritize. But what I say, and I'm going to use the example of Dawn Commission. I don't have funds to sponsor staff on training, but I encourage them to go online, surf online. You'll be surprised, sirs and mars, at the amount of training, free training. That's why we're also encouraging our offices to be, to have internet, broadband internet. There's a lot of free training, some of them 3 months course, free. And you get a certificate. They might tell you pay $10 for the certificate, but it is recognized. So we shouldn't just wait. All you need to do at times is identify the training, tell your boss, Oga, I'm just talking hypothetically, between 2 and 4, sir, for the next 3 weeks. Time, training. This is the training. Your boss will give you that time. Well, should give you that time. Yes, government will provide money for training when the funds are there, but we must be realistic. When NNPC, not NNPC, it's the NNPC that told us 2 days ago that they are going to send very small amount to FAC this month, next month. They said they are sending nothing to FAC. It's going to impact on whatever government will spend, because government does not they don't print money. Apologies to some governors. They don't just print money. So we need to be realistic in saying, for no training, let us look for that training at times. Online, I know what I'm saying might not be friendly enough, but it's the truth. There's so much training we can do now, online, without physically going into that classroom. It does not stop government from still providing money. And the first time I came here was about 2 or 3 years ago. I said, you have probably the best training facility in the country. This place, here. Let us utilize it more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The Chief of Staff, will have take a comment.
Thank you, sir. I want to observe that this interagency cooperation, sir, is not at a zero level as far as this administration is concerned. Often, when issues arise, I do bring agencies together in my office. There are some
areas of cooperation and will continue to do this in this new dispensation. The issue of diaspora intervention in governance too. I know Mr. Governor has created a desk for the diasporans as a way of getting their intervention in this area. All we need to do is to strengthen this desk as we go along. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is a lawyer with intimidating credentials. He is a partner in the law firm of Vail Partners and also the Chief Executive Officer of Community Energy Social Enterprise Limited. He has both his first degree in law and master's degree in law at the Abafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1991. He has equally acquired 2 other master's degrees, industrial and labor relations and public administration, specializing in policy studies at the University of Lagos in Nigeria, and later on did a postgraduate studies in cross-sector partnership at the Cambridge University, Cambridge, United Kingdom, and later earned a Doctor of Philosophy degree in public management, focusing in research and public participation in development. With the robust multidisciplinary background, Mr. Governor, our next lecturer, has acquired for over 3 decades, worked across different sectors, local government, Department of Justice, private sector, local NGO, international NGO, and international organization, as well as United Nations system. Meanwhile, he has previously worked with UNDP Capacity Building Support Program as Principal Advisor on Trade and Development in Directorate of Commerce, Ministry of Development in the Asian Pacific country of East Timor. He was also Chief Executive Officer of Oxfordshire Equality Human Rights Council and the Equality and Human Rights Watchdog offering Oxfordshire. In that role, he supervised a casework management system for the organization. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker was one of the 100 top Commonwealth senior leaders who attended the 2014 edition of the Senior Leaders Conference organized by Common Purpose and Prince of Edinburgh Fund in the United Kingdom. He has authored and co-authored several publications. He recently carried out a study and released a report on macroeconomic study on Ogoniland. Mr. Governor, sir, I invite to the microphone the Transition Coordinator for the Ondo State Transition Strategy Implementation Committee, Dr. Patrick Olayinka Tolani.
Thank you very much, Compare. Before I came forward, or before I was to be brought up, I expressed my sympathy to Mr. MC again, because just like Mr. Governor, I'm a product of Ife. So I told him that I really sympathize with him. Although he has failed to mention the name of his university, because he's been too afraid to even mention it. Okay, thank you very much. I really want to thank His Excellency, Mr. Governor, for giving me the opportunity to serve in this state. Just as my friend, Mr. Jomo asked the other time, I'm one of the diasporans that Mr. Governor brought to come and work with you. So it shows his belief in working with the diasporans. And I can say that with the little input I've made in this state, there are so many other people with potentials, people who want to help. you can be sure that this is the state that needs you. This is the state that wants to work with you. So I thank you, sir, for giving me the singular opportunity to be of service. I'm not going to take a long time. I just wanted to familiarize you with what we have done. His Excellency, sir, this has been presented to you in the past, except that there are just a few additions. But I just thought it's going to be important for you to know what the genesis of what you're doing today, and also to understand where we are going, because it's a long process. As Mr. Oyeleye has referred to the issue of reforms, reforms never happen overnight. It's always a gradual process, it's always a revolving process, it's always a continuous process, but with leadership. And that's why you are here. We are looking for people that will show the leadership, that will say we are here and this must happen. We are sold out to this. I remember last week my chairman, Mr. Governor, sir, I think in my working life of about 30 years, I think this is the best person I've ever worked with. I'm talking about Mr. Dari Aragbaye. He's a wonderful man. I'm so proud to have him as my chairman. And I know in the state you call him your leader. A leader indeed he is. Thank you, Mr. Governor. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I just want to say that I'm making this presentation on behalf of other members of the committee. Some of them are not here for flight cancellation purposes or whatever, but we are up to this task for those of us who are here. So just to say that very quickly, our terms of reference, I think all of you will get the slides. I don't want to take so much time belaboring these slides, because we still have the next item, which is to make you work together. And that is all about the one administration agenda. We want to see how from here you can start to work together. If you want to start working together, you want to break the silos, then you have to start from here. And that's why we are going to be breaking you up to the breakout session. And my indefatigable secretary has been harassing me about how much time we have taken already. So I'll do all I can to cover lost ground. But the most important thing about the terms of reference that Mr. Governor gave to us was to look at the process of offboarding the political appointees that had left, and also the process of onboarding the new ones. So that essentially is what we have done. And going into the process of the offboarding, so I'm talking now about the collation of our reports. There was a checklist, which all of you had, and I was still operating from Oxford at the time. I got to know that some people were like, oh, we've never done it like this before. Yeah, there's always the first time of doing something new. And we should all be proud that we're part of something that is new. And I think I need to congratulate all of you for being part of this new process. So I think you can congratulate yourself for doing that. So there were a series of workshops that were held with various ministries, departments, and agencies to communicate. And you know, one thing that I love about leadership, or what leadership is all about, if I must say that to you, is all about communication, communication, and communication. Making people know what they need to do and why they need to do it. And that's why, again, I've always respected and loved the leadership of Mr. Governor. As you will know, he was the president of the association that I'm very proud to belong to. And his record as the president of the Nigerian Bar Association is all there till today for everybody to see. And that is what is called legacy. And I strongly believe that that is what is happening again in Ondo State. So, sir, once again, congratulations. Thank you, thank you. So we called some MDAs, Ministry of Health, Education, and all of them to meet with us, to present their checklist to us, and also to enlighten us about what they wanted to do so that we know that they know what they will want to do, and that they were going to own it. And at the end of the exercise, we did a collation of our results, and we looked at the achievements, we looked at the challenges, and we also saw the weather forecast. I call it weather forecast because that's the outlook, what we want to see in the future, and how we want to see it, how we want to interpret it. So we did that, and it was quite engaging. We saw the achievements, which was huge, particularly in the area of infrastructure. We looked particularly into education, agriculture, and health. Although we are not saying that other departments are useless and not important, but we more than ever, and the way things should go, focused on those areas that directly impact on the people. Health, education, agriculture. And as I told my colleagues, I call them my colleagues, although I'm the worst farmer in the world, I've never planted anything in my life, I'm so lazy. But in terms of policy, I asked them, if there is any sector in this state that can bring about development, rapid development for that matter, employment opportunity, reduction of food insecurity, which one will you vote for most? And everybody said, it's agriculture. And no wonder, when Mr. Governor made his speech at the inauguration, he harped and harped and harped on agribusiness. And that shows that is his heart. When your leader harps on an issue, it shows that issue is dear to him. And if you want to be successful, and you want him to be successful, that should also be your focus. So we looked at the achievement. We also saw the areas of challenges, inadequate budgetary provision and paucity of funds. For goodness sake, whoever tells you that will ever stop being a problem is deceiving you. Money will never be enough. So you better wake up and smell the coffee. What you need to do is, how do you manage scarce resources in a manner that will deliver the most service to the people? That's why you are there. That's why you are there. As of course, and this is very instructive, they told us themselves, we didn't cook this up, the lack of interagency cooperation and synergy amongst agencies and principal officers. They told us themselves. So you told us that you don't work together. So if you did, then you've got to fix it. And as I've always told people, if you are lucky, blessed to have a governor that is known as Mr. Talk and Do, then if you allow him to talk and you don't do, you fail yourself, you fail him, and you fail the people. And that's no good. So you just have to work together. And that's why we're going to go to the next exercise where you have to work together. If you need help, we are there for you. We are there to support you. COVID-19 has brought debilitating impact on every economy in the world. And on the flip side of it, it has thrown us up a lot of opportunities in the area of public intervention programs. But if you don't know, you don't know. If you don't know what to do, you don't know. And this is why we need to work together. The resources are there. All you need to do is to use them. So there were, talk about shorts, and I knew that was a great thing. But I remember when I had an interview with the radio station, they said, hey, Mr. Governor said it is continuity. And he had GMPPR. Why is he now changing to redeem? Why is he changing? I said, what is difficult? You've done it the first time. Somebody operated with Buba and Shokoto. Now he decided to put Agbada on top of it to make it better. What is the problem? Somebody says, I did well, but I want to do better. I want to perform better. And particularly, when we met with him, with Mr. Governor, we told him that even the dynamics of the last 4 years are no longer the dynamics of today. Security was not the way it was 4 years ago. Energy, we thought energy was going to be better, but I never knew some 4 years ago that we'd be on a gen for a whole day like this. So things are worse. And so you've got to think out of the box, and particularly, we also want to mainstream service improvement. We want to be sure that service improvement is not just a talk alone, but it must be something that we embrace, something that we invest in it, because it will not happen without investment. And then one of the other problems we saw was that I asked my colleagues in the transition committee, and I asked whether there were clear performance objectives, whether there was KPIs defined, and whether there were yardsticks or indicators to measure monitoring, evaluation, and learning. I didn't see it, or we didn't see it. So we decided that the way to go was to mainstream all this. And let me just, because we're talking about culture of performance management, let me tell you, just in a nutshell, what it means. What it means is, we don't want to, yes, Mr. Governor has said this is redeemed agenda. Fine, good. But just as a lawyer, senior lawyer for that matter that he is, when a judge says, I hereby sentence you to 10 years in your performance objectives on you, we want you to define it yourself. We want you to come up with your own performance indicators, but we have made the job simpler for you by making sure that what you're doing is aligned to the SDG goals. So you can always go to the SDG goals and take the indicators from there and domesticate them in your own state. And the job is easier for everybody to do. And my brother and friend also talked about stakeholders engagement, engaging the stakeholders. And that's why about 2 weeks ago, with the active support and direction of the head of service, we actually had stakeholders engagement. And Mr. Governor, sir, everybody at that occasion congratulated you for making it happen. I think the clapping can be better than that. Because according to them, this was the first time they've ever seen it done. But I told them, it's the first, but it's not going to be the last. It must be a continuous exercise. You must keep checking, just like you said there earlier on. You say you want to do something, is that what they want? You must keep asking them what they want, how they want it. And if it is not going to happen the way they want it, why will it not happen that way? If you're having areas of challenges, let them know. Let them know the challenges. Let them know what you're doing. And health, agriculture, and education, they came. Please, can we just clap for them? The permanent secretaries in those departments, they came, they made, beautiful presentations. And stakeholders engaged them. They asked them questions. They challenged them. They asked them why they were doing what they were doing and how they could do things better. That's the way to go. So this will be a continuous process, and I'm sure you embrace it. You will even do it on your own. Ask those people what they want, and they will tell you. That's the way the new public management or new public governance works. It's not somebody in an office thinking that this is what they want and insist that that's what they want. It doesn't work that way. You need to ask them. You need to engage with them. And of course, we cannot just overemphasize this. There has to be synergy, continuous synergy. Everybody has to pull together so that there will be delivery, cross-sector partnerships across board should be the way to go. So pathway to redemption, which was the topic of Mr. Governor's address during the inauguration, pathway to redemption. And our value proposition is very simple. I'm sure my friend is there, Tolu, listening to me. We said improved service delivery will automatically lead to improved income generation. That was the value proposition. And that's what everybody must get right in the state. You do well, you perform well, you deliver services, you serve the people well, you will make more money. It's not rocket science. So that's how we came up with it. And also as a response to the problem of working in silos, please, I believe the organizers will send you this, yes, they'll send all of you these slides on your platform everywhere, because this must become your Bible. This is what you must know, internalize. You know, I remember when Mr. Agbaye told me, he said, Mr. Coordinator, the civil service, they've hijacked our program. I said, please let them hijack it, is better. It is their thing, let them own it. I'm going to go back to Oxford to continue with my life. But whatever impact we make, if you internalize this, make it your own, the better for me, the better for Mr. Governor, because he will see more results. That's what we want. So one administration is the mantra. Secretary to Government talked about it even in her speech. One administration is conceived to achieve better synergy amongst internal and external stakeholders. Why did we link REDEEM to SDG goals? When you go to UNDP or World Bank or any of the other organizations, they look at your indicators. That, you know these guys, they want to give money, but they also want to give money in accordance with their own thinking. They say he who plays the piper dictates the tune. So if you come up with indicators that they are familiar with, then they understand your language. And it's very easy for them. I will say this, and I think we need to congratulate Mr. Governor for this. Ondo State, hear me and hear me well. You are the first state in Nigeria that is linking your agenda and your goal with the sustainable development goal in the entire country. That is a huge achievement. All we need to do is to leverage on that to also use it to bring more resources into the state. That's just the way we should go. That's the way we should go. So that's why telling them the way we are saying it now, as one administration agenda, makes it easy to be owned. Everybody can own it. This is my baby. I love it. I want it to work. And that's why you have to make it work. That's why you have to make it yours and use it in the best interest of the state. So that led to Redeemed, as you have known it, which is everywhere. And just looking at the way forward, I told the 11 MDAs that came to see us, I said, don't think that this is the end of coming. Don't think this is the end of coming. You will keep coming to present what you are doing, show your performance. We will look at it, and that's why we have been talking about the project performance and project implementation unit. They'll be looking at your performance on a quarterly basis. The interesting thing is, you are even the ones that will log in your performance. You are the ones that will log in your performance. So if you are not performing, you yourself will know. And there are going to be smart performance indicators. Smart performance indicators. You are in the Ministry of Agriculture, you are the SSA on agribusiness. How many farmers have you supported in 3 months? How many tons of cassava have we supported farmers to grow? These are smart things that you will need to report. And that is the way things, I suppose, will go. Now, going to performance management culture, we're talking of clear goals, we're talking of efficiency, we're talking of monitoring, picking priorities, because we never will have money to do everything, so we need to prioritize, and all of us will need to do it. And of course, we're talking about service improvements, keeping improving yourself, becoming better than you were yesterday, showing more results for everybody to see. And that's what we are talking about. So that is the culture. I believe the lecturer from FUTA will give you more theoretical backgrounds around that later, but I don't need to detain us on that at this point. So to foster a culture of performance management, there are clear behavioral imperatives that must be adopted. Clear behavioral imperatives. customer-centered orientation. That is, the people must be in the forefront of your thinking. The people must be in the forefront of your design. The people must be in the forefront of your implementation. And the people must be in the forefront of your reporting. You can't just say, I went to office from Monday to Fridays. What did you do there? How many people did you serve? You have to be responsive to the needs of your customer. What I'm trying to say, you are doing a huge disservice to the service when you do that. A huge disservice. That sense of unnecessary importance should be taken away from us. If people send emails to you, reply them. In fact, if Mr. Governor permits me, I've not discussed this with my members, we will create a line, a special line, tell Aketi. If you contact any civil servant and that person does not report, they respond to you, tell Aketi, we create a hotline. Sir, I wish you would give approval for that, sir. Tell Aketi, hotline. Yes, sir. Open governance. Tell Aketi, let Aketi hear. So that Aketi will look for that person who is higher than Aketi. So, responsiveness to the needs of customers is important. You just have to respond. Yes, sir, legitimate. No people are harassing you. But listen to me. Listen to me. Hello, can you listen to me? Can you listen to me? Hello, can you listen to me? I'll give you an example. My elder brother, hello everybody, please, can we be in one house? Can we be in one house? Hello? My elder brother, when I came, was making some stupid request of me. My own brother, the same father, the same mother. And I told him, this is where honesty and transparency comes in. I told him I had a TOR. I have a mandate given to me by Mr. Governor. I will keep to my mandate. Then he insisted I must do his mandate. You know what I did? I blocked him. Mommy said Oyinbo. I blocked him. I blocked him. Listen. Can you listen to me? Can you listen to me? Hello, everybody. Hello, can you listen to me? When I blocked him, after 3 weeks, I unblocked him. And now he's behaving. Mommy is shaking his head. What am I trying to say? Everybody. Yes, sir. Exactly. So what am I trying to say? It is still response for you to tell people that is not the way we work. It is still response for you to say no. It's still response. You don't need to be afraid to say no. Tell them it is not part of the agenda for now. But that's a response. So there will be legitimate responses, but there will be so many legitimate ones. I totally understand. Some people will even be asking you for money. I know that. I know the part of the world where I belong to. And so when people ask me for money, I just tell them I don't have. As simple as possible, I don't have. Period. So we should entrench users' feedback. Is very important. Now, just to close, please can you listen to me? Now, leadership culture will entail, what we call role culture, power culture, achievement culture, and support culture. And if you look at the screen there, they're all interrelated. Role culture is you take your role, your work, what you're doing as critical, and you embrace it and you make it work. We have power culture, we have ownership culture, achievement culture, and support culture. But what we're trying to say is that all this culture, they come together. So you must have a culture of respecting your role. The power that you carry, you must understand what it means. The ownership, that's agenda, and achievement culture, and of course, the mutual support culture that we can always all have. Those are all the things that we are preaching and that we are talking about. Just remember, a culture does not start and become mature in one day. It takes time to mature. But there is always a starting point. And today, this is the starting point. And I hope all of you, we embrace this culture of performance. Some people ask me, how do you manage all the things you do and you are successful? I told people, in my life, I compartmentalize all I do as tasks. And I pick a task at a time, and I make sure the task is accomplished before I move to the next task. But let me warn you, as I close, you cannot solve all the problems of this world. You cannot assume that resources will be there to meet everybody's needs. But you can meet the needs of the greatest majority of the people with the resources you have. And posterity will record that in your favor. I thank you for listening, and God bless you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's give Dr. Tolani another round of applause. Dr. Tolani, I think you should do more of classroom teaching. I'd like to welcome another speaker. Let me just quickly recognize her. Dr. Mrs. Modupe Ajayi, Head of Department, Project Management Technology, FUTA. Where's Dr. Mrs. Ajayi, please? Thank you very much. Welcome. Well, there will be a very short presentation on fostering a culture of one administration. A culture of one administration. People would say, but it's one administration. But the question we must ask ourselves as we listen to the next presentation is, are we indeed one in spirit? Mr. Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I then have the honor and privilege to invite again our classroom teacher, Dr. Patrick Tolani, and of the Transition Committee, Mr. Babajide Akeredolu, to proceed and make a presentation, 10 minutes maximum, on fostering a culture of one administration. Dr. Telani.
Then we go to the next ones that will break. How do we break? That's what we can do. No, the presentation first.
Thank you for that. This is very difficult to say, because, please, are we all together? Yeah, I think I have a member of my committee that if he was not my committee secretary, I would never have been successful. I would never have been successful. And it's this young man, Babajide Akeredolu. Please help me thank him. I know the sensitivity involved to talk about this young man, and so I won't say anything. But I've been praying that at least one of my children will be like him. Yeah. So he would have done this, but he will always defer to me. No problem. So what we want to do at this stage, because you are going to your groups now, but before we do that, we just want to say that, you know, the pillars are fundamentally intertwined. They are all linked. All the pillars, the redeemed pillars, as you can see there, they are all linked. And at the heart of the redeemed strategy is a concept of efficient service delivery and tied to the SDG goals, right? I've said that already. Now, the flip side of the document you have, you can see the SDG goals, and I think a copy of the SDG goals are already in your folder so that you can see them there. So the state is deliberate, as I've told you, to tie redeem to SDG goals in order to position the state program for external support. And I can tell you we are doing quite a lot of that already. I think, Baba, you can allow me to just mention the discussion on a Saturday without notice, when I was in the UK about 3 weeks ago, how we had an urgent meeting with somebody in the office of the Secretary General of the United Nations. And we briefed him about what we are doing in Ondo State, and immediately he said, we are adopting Ondo State as a place where we want this to work. So we are positioning the state. The truth of the matter is that you can never have enough money, let's be honest. Let's just be honest about it. And donors' funds are there, looking for people who are fit. And that's what we are saying here. Service improvement. That's the bedrock of all we are doing. That's the bedrock. So you're already ready to fly by having that office and by getting the assistance from Dawn. And that's why I was motivated to say, I want Dawn to be here, so that you can talk to them about what this is all about. So tying these to SDG goals in your crafting of your performance objectives, in your crafting of your performance indicators is critical. Very critical. Because in that case, you are winning friends more to yourself than working in silos. So next slide. So we're going to have a breakout session now, and the different sectors have been grouped into clusters. And that's also part of what we have gained by the effort of this young man, by, looking at what other states are doing. That's what is called benchmarking, right? So he has related with Kaduna State, Kaduna State was the first that did this. Then Plateau State did the same thing, and I'm happy, sir, that Mr. Governor related with the governor of the state, and our secretary visited, and I also visited them about, last week. I was there last week also to see what they are doing. When I got there, I called Baba, I said, Baba, did you really come to this place? He said, yes. I said, then these people has put us on a run. Oh, we really need to work hard. And I'm glad that he's really working hard on this. So you go to your different clusters, and our committee has given you the resources in your park, and then you will now brainstorm for about 25 minutes or 20. That's not a long time. You brainstorm and pick a project that you want Mr. Governor to do that will come into the next budget. Does that sound exciting? I'm not sure you're in this room again. Does that sound exciting? Do you want to win in your sector? Then you work. Now, when you get to your, let me just tell you why we are doing this. All we want to do is, if you get to your sector and you start to fight, who is the leader? Who knows more? Who is older? Who is younger? Who is more beautiful? You will not come up with any result. But if you get there and you are result-oriented, you are sharp, you are focused, you only have 20 minutes. Please, I hope you don't come back and say you want to distribute exercise books to people in Riverine area. I mean, that is failure on arrival. We want you to come up with a project, and in that project, you will identify the inputs that is needed to achieve that result, the output you are going to get, and the outcome that we are going to see. Outcome is more about impact. What is the impact we want to see? And then what are going to be your indicators of performance, and also your monitoring, your evaluation and learning framework. Does that sound like Greek to anybody? Is that okay to everybody? Is that achievable? Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So the clusters will nominate a presenter, a moderator, and then of course they will do all the things that's on the screen. And like I told you, your projects will be appraised and scored by the transition committee, but not the transition committee alone now, by our HOD of project management in Futa, and our brother and friend Sheye of Dawn. So you have experts that are here to look at what you're doing. But more importantly, we just want to see you work together. We want to see you achieve success together. And we also want you to select somebody that is articulate to deliver what you have done. Is that the last one? Okay, that's the last one. So let's look. So these are the clusters. These are the clusters. So we have agriculture and, okay, this is the agriculture and infrastructure cluster. So what we are saying here, if your ministry belongs to any of these, this is your cluster. So how many people are in agriculture here? Can you wave your hand? Agriculture? Okay, so we tell you what to do, where to go, lands, water resources, housing, and so on. And you know, these are connected. Just as our brother Sheye said the other time, you need to farm, you need land. Is that not correct? In the days of now, not in the days of yore, you need water resources for irrigation purpose. So the rural something, there is something, what do you call Rusa something? Ruasa. You know, they're very important. They should be here. And of course, housing and planning. What are we doing? The kind of land we have. How are we balancing living with farming, with road construction? All these things are very important. And of course, institutional development. For now, we have justice. Justice is important, so don't think you are not important. After all, I was there 30 years ago in that secretariat, and Mr. Governor was also, yes, Mr. Governor was also there. So they are important. Information, health, and so on. So you are in that cluster. So how many people are in this cluster? Can you just wave your hand so that I can see you? Nobody? Oh, you are there. Thank you. Thank you. And then next one, economic development cluster. So you have all these ones. So if you belong here, can you just raise your hand? Those who are there, please. Anybody that is there. So please, that's where you belong. And I probably think the last one is human capital development. So we have regional integration, women affairs, education, science and technology, youth and sport and CITA. They are in human capital development cluster. One more. Thank you. Yes, sir. Financial and procurement services. You know, this is very important as well. Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Budget and Planning, ODBPP. What does that mean, Baba? Okay. Okay. And then, of course, everybody will love this because Tolu is there. So we can go to our cluster. We are going to tell you where they are. Where's the DG? Sorry, Mr. Chairman, sir. How do we go to our cluster? Okay, if you are in any service that is not listed, you know the nearest or closest to you. Would you kindly join those ones? Is there anyone that is not listed? Yes, sir. Security. Okay, they say it's there. Okay, they said it's... You are in a Greek. We are in the wrong place. Okay, all right. Can we do something? I've been directed on what to do. Mr. Chairman, any other directive? Can I go ahead? Okay. So, I'm so conscious of time. So, I don't know. Okay, group one, we go to room number 6. So that is the Greek one. They go to room number 6. So please, can you go now? Your time, start counting. Go to wherever you are put for now, sir. Go to wherever you are put for now. It is not a permanent structure, don't worry. So wherever you are put now, go there, please. So room number 6, group 1 is going to room number 6. Please, the Director General is there, please go with him. Please, can you go now? Please, let's be smart. And then group number 2, we go to room number 7. That is institutional development. Please go at once. Thank you, sirs. Thank you very much, sirs. Please, can you go? Then room number 8, that is group 3. Group 3, which is, economic development cluster. And then, of course, room number 9 is for group 4. Group 4. And is it group 4 and 5 they said here?
Group 4 is room number 9.
Yes.
What? Oh, and
this group 3.
Yes, they go to room 8.
Then,
is it 4 and 5 are in the same place?
No, this number 9. Group 9 will go to group 4. No.
So group 5 will go to room number 11. That's fine.
Yes.
There's no group 6.
Okay. Please, group 5 will go to room number 11. Please, can you go now? And please, with all due respect, I believe their commissioners, if they are here, will kindly be there, sir. Well, wonderful.
Room
So please, you only have about 25 minutes to come back with your projects. What? Huh? Which one is that?
That's group 2.
Group 2.
But,
which one is that?
this is group 2.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is where information is.
Yeah, information is in group 2. I understand information is in group 2, please. Please, officials like the Madam Secretary or Head of Service or any of the senior officials are free to go round. They are free to go round to listen to the people and observe how they are working. Please, Head of Service, sir, and Secretary, the Chief of Staff, they are free to go round and see what the people are doing. An honorable speaker, I was told, Mr. Speaker can go around and just see what they are doing. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, so you can go. Who is that?
Entrepreneurship, economic
Lunch at what? Oh, lunch will be after this. We should do lunch after this. I think we should. But what is important is you don't play and tell them that they should go from there.
Yeah, you know, I want to clean up. I want to clean up.
Human capital.
Room 9.
That's good for now. Yeah, room number 9. Human capital.
Please, our lecturer can also go round. Our lecturer can go round, and the Dawn Commission DG can also go round. Yes, sir. Just go round and see what they are doing. Well, if he wants. The panel secretary, sir, from FDA, you can also go round, sir. FCT, you can go round, sir. Yes, sir.